Another guy that I feel like, unfortunately, I don't like to rub this in the people's face, especially when we're already going through something. I feel like I was pretty right about Marvin Harrison Jr. I liked Marv, and I told everyone, listen, if we want to draft the guy, you will get no criticism from me because he's fun, he's flashy. I still think he's going to be good. My thing is, well, this game isn't really one on the perimeter; it's one on the trenches. And you have a guy in Joe Alt who's the closest thing to a sure thing as Marv is. Do you think it is at least okay to question, we might have made a mistake there? We probably shouldn't have drafted that guy, or at least have the conversation of, he's not a bust. That's not what I'm saying. He has 800 receiving yards or something
Right.
ridiculous. That's not what I'm saying. My thing is, maybe we should have drafted someone else and got a Keon Coleman or a Lad McConkey in the second round or whatever it was. Do you think it's okay to have that conversation now, given the struggles that Marvin Harrison Jr. has had, which has been largely due to tentativeness? And I'll be honest with you, man, I'm not sure he loves football. Just being around him, I think being around him, being on the field, training camps, thing like that, and seeing Marv, I'm like, I know you're really good at football, and I know you're incredibly talented, but it's almost like the Marcus Mariota thing when the
Right.
quarterback thing came out, where I was like, oh my goodness, you don't like football. You just do this because you're really good at it, which is fine. It makes a lot of money. I
Yeah.
don't hold anything against the guy. But where are you at on Marvin Harrison Jr.? Are you starting to have second thoughts, or are you pretty much okay with it?
I'm okay with it, to be honest with you, and I think it's okay to have those conversations. I really do. I think anybody, because I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, you got to be okay with having these conversations, but also be okay with having the Kyler Murray conversations, right? You can't pick and choose with the type of conversation. You got to acknowledge the whole team, right? That's every position you got to go out there and do. But to me, like, I'm okay with it right now. When I start making I guess, a take or a situation like, oh man, SOS, we might have effed up here. It's probably after year maybe two or two and a half. But to me right now, I understand all the criticism, and I'm right there with you, man. There's some things I'm like, bro, you gotta freaking catch those balls, right? Especially with that touchdown that was completely like swiped out of his hand by Christian Gonzalez, and then those two balls from Kyler Murray at the end of that game this last week versus the Panthers. Like, some of those things, you're just like, bro, you got to do this. You got to, hold on to those balls. So I understand the criticism, and I think they're rightfully so. I think there should be criticism on a fourth overall pick, because that whole same narrative, if you're getting picked up that high, the expectations is right freaking here, right? And that might have been the fault of myself and the rest of the media, right? And everybody else out there that were gloating the fact that this guy is going to be the next best thing since sliced bread, right? But we can't also acknowledge ignore the fact that even Larry Fitzgerald, one of the greats, was coming out saying, yeah, this kid could be really, really good, right? But that's the thing about the draft, man. It's a it's a risk, right? Regardless if you're fourth or the first overall, it's all risk at the end of the day. Joe Alt, to me, I don't know how I would be. I don't know. Like, right now, I don't know how I would feel with Joel. I know he's doing really, really good, but like, in my mind, coming into the draft process, I couldn't justify the Cardinals using that fourth overall pick for a right tackle, especially when you sign Jonah Williams, right? Because let's call it like it is. I think the plan was always to move Paris Johnson Jr. over to the left-hand side. Although nobody wanted to acknowledge it. I mean, the coaching staff, not the media, but the coaches, they didn't want to acknowledge it till like the very, very start of the season. Although we all kind of knew that was going to be the plan, I couldn't justify it in my head saying, oh, we're going to get a right tackle of the future right here, because with that fourth overall pick, you don't want to be in that position ever again. You do not want to be in that position. So when a generational talent, and I know, quote, 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 generational talent is at your legs or at your feet, you got to jump the trigger. You got to go after that guy, because although right now you're probably looking, saying, man, you could have traded back, get Brian Thomas Jr. or Malik Neighbors looks really damn good as well. A lot of things are hindsight, but to me, I mean, a lot of us are talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. in terms of the badness, but his stats are pretty good. And that's with a Kyler Murray that doesn't throw the ball down the field, and Drew Petzing in a run heavy offense. That's the way that I like to look at it. And it's probably because I wanted him. And I'm not going to lie to you, man. Like, sometimes when you wanted somebody, you train your mind to have all these excuses in the world, right? So that's kind of how the whole Kyler Murray situation was. So now we're 6 years in and we're like, oh crap, SOS. But with Marvin, I'm okay. I'm okay with him. I think the pick was still there. Like I said, I'm probably not going to make a fully judgment until, I don't know, maybe a year and a half from now or 2 years from now, because I'm a big advocate of seeing what he can do as he develops into becoming that guy, because he is timid, man, but he's 22. He's 22. Maybe he's not having that that moment in. But I understand. Sorry, I understand there's dogs out there, right? Malik Neighbors looks to be a dog. He's really young too, so there's that.
Yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff that I was kind of looking at with Marv, where it wasn't just the 2 missed catches in overtime. It was the before that. Kyler throws, man, listen, this idea that Kyler can't throw the ball down, it's the biggest thing. Now we're just going back to the Kyler Murray conversation, but the biggest problem is I think Kyler has the best deep ball in the NFL before this year. And now for some reason, he can't throw the ball downfield. And so with Marv, none of it makes any sense. That's why I say Kyler shares the load of the blame for everything. But Petzing, I don't understand. At times, it took like 10 games for him to throw the ball downfield. But the Marv, going back to that, is there was a chance in that game to catch a touchdown on the backside of the right end zone. Kyler throws it perfectly, and he lost the ball. And I was like, Marv, you have to bail out your quarterback, because if Kyler makes that touchdown, we're not even having this conversation, because they win the game. Kyler throws for 2 touchdowns. Kyler runs for a touchdown. That's how close these margins are in the NFL.